Welcome to Outcomes, Tips, and Tricks with the Vschool Outcomes team. We've got Danielle Walker joining us today. She's going to be, she's an alumni for our full stack JavaScript program, and she's currently working at Divvy as a software engineer. Welcome, Danielle.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you doing this. We tried to go on to Instagram Live, and so the reason we're doing it in Zoom is we're having some technical difficulties. So we're gonna just go ahead and do this interview on Zoom. So here we go. Danielle, I like to start out, have you tell us like what's your job and what's your favorite part of your job? What do you do?
So I am a mid-level software engineer at Divvy. And I just I'm full stack there. They, have us in teams and all that stuff, and we work on different parts of their web application. And I just love it. It's great. I love working at Divvy, and I love my favorite part about my job is definitely the problem solving aspect. I love that feeling of like fixing a bug or building a feature that makes the app more usable, or just all of that. I love getting all the pieces working together.
Awesome. Ultimate problem solver here. Yeah. So tell us a little bit what Divvy does. What kind of company are they?
So they're kind of an expense management software, and they're a startup here in Utah. And so they're in the expense management space. So they deal with budgeting and for kind of small to mid-level companies doing expense management.
Very cool. All right. So that would be kind of like fintech kind of stuff.
Yes. Yep, for sure.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Because this is a career kind of focused interview, we want to know a little bit about your story. So tell us about how you got into development in the first place, like what got you interested, and then how did you find Vschool?
Yeah, so I took a computer science class a lot of years ago in college, and I really liked it, but it just wasn't really on my radar of like professions to go into. So I just didn't think much about it. And then years later, I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to do. I'd had some jobs, but they were kind of just get a paycheck jobs. And I wanted to think about what I really wanted to do. And my husband actually brought up software engineering. He had heard about these boot camps and stuff, and he brought it up. And I kind of said, nah, whatever, and just brushed it aside. And then a couple of years ago, I got an email. I remember it was right around Christmas time. I got an email about the Adobe scholarship for Vschool. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll try this. And so that's how I heard about Vschool.
Cool. Yeah. Back then, Adobe was partnering with Vschool for that scholarship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your experience at Vschool. So when you came and were there, tell us a little bit about that.
So it was kind of funny because I actually didn't get the scholarship, and I was just kind of devastated. I was really sad about it. And I even thought about not going. But, I was like, you know what? I think this is what I want to do. I want to go anyway. And so I would definitely say, like, there are going to be hurdles in your journey um, at a lot of different places, and don't give up. Don't, just get through them. Because that's the biggest thing was, there were little things that came up. How am I going to do this? How am I going to accomplish this? And I'm just so glad that I kept going. So anyways, and so I went, and then I don't know if the program's still the same. Is it still the same?
It's a similar curriculum, but now we're completely online. So I remember, like, we were in the same cohort. We'll put that out there. Danielle and I were in the same cohort, and so we would often like commute together in the morning and get to campus and then just be there full time. Tell about the schedule that we had to keep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I remember I had to catch the train. Oh gosh, what time? I mean, it was like 7 or something in the morning because I took front runner from Utah County, and then we got there around 8 or so. was it 8 or 9? I can't even remember now.
I think we would get there about 8 and then class would start at 9 and it was like,
Yeah.
it was 9 to 5 or 6. And
Yeah,
then
I think it went till 6.
it was
And then I would work more when every night pretty much when I'd get home, I would do some more. So it was a very intense 3 months. A lot of work, a lot of figuring things out, a lot of banging my head against the wall. Yeah. So it was pretty intense, but it was a lot of really great information for sure.
Yeah. Despite it being so intense, and you learned a lot from it, would you recommend Vschool to like friends and family and those that are interested in?
Yeah, I would for sure. It was a really great experience. I would totally recommend it. I would also recommend that you go. And I used to joke when I would get home to my husband and be like, I think I'm the most annoying person in our class because I just asked questions all the time. And so I would say that I was like, go and get your money's worth and ask all the questions you can.
Right,
But I would
absolutely.
recommend. Yeah, I would for sure recommend it. The people were definitely very invested in helping us, which I really liked.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing that I love about Vschool. I loved it when I was a student, and now working there, I know that that we really care about our students and their success. And so we've got all sorts of resources. Being online, it's a little different because you can't just, lean over and say, hey, how do I do this? Or hey, what's
Yeah.
this? So you do have to put in a little bit of extra effort to ask questions. But,
Hmm.
just putting it out there, let our students and future students know we're more than happy to answer those questions and resolve any kind of thing that's blocking. So let us
Hmm.
know, talk to us. That's definitely what we're here for. And we've actually increased the career support. I know when we were there was just one person that kind of helped everybody in general. But now we have 4 people on our team that's what we do is the career support, getting the resumes and the LinkedIn, making sure that you have everything that you need to succeed. Tell us a little bit about your job search. After you finished the program, what did that look like for you?
Sorry, I'm clearing my throat. I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, but yeah, the job search is definitely tough. It's a lot, and there will be a lot of silence. You'll put a lot out there, and you will not hear a lot back. um, I actually got my first job through Tirsa. So she introduced me to someone and I took her out to lunch. She was currently working as a software engineer for a company. I took her out to lunch and I just picked her brain about um, what it was like, if she had any advice and all that stuff. And she ended up saying she'd be happy to give him my resume. And that's how I got my first job. So, and I do think networking for sure is not the only way, but it is probably one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best things you can do in your job hunt because there's a lot of people looking.
Yeah.
So if you can have that connection, that really helps.
Yeah, that definitely gives you a little bit of a what's the word? A step forward, hand,
Yeah.
gives that
Yes.
extra boost, that extra help, right?
Mhm.
So what were the main keys to success? I think you just mentioned this about landing your first job was just
So networking, obviously. That's super important. I saw this post on LinkedIn. I wish I could remember who did it, but I saw it a couple weeks ago and I thought it was perfect. And they said, think about your job search process and where you're getting stuck most of the time in that process. Are you getting stuck like you're just not hearing anything? You're submitting applications and it's silence. Are you getting stuck after the first phone interview? Are people saying no after the first phone interview? Are you getting stuck in the technical interview? Are they saying no, nope? And then based on where you're getting stuck in the process, that's where you need to focus your energy. So if you're not hearing anything, okay, you need to network, you need to try to contact people on LinkedIn, you need to check out your resume. Is your resume up to par? If you're getting a lot of callbacks, a lot of first phone interviews, that a lot of times the first phone interview is that culture interview. Okay, so what are your answers? Like, are you missing the boat on some culture questions? Are you, and then obviously technical, you might need to brush up your technical skills there. But thinking about where in the process you need to focus your energy, because if you're not even getting any responses and you're doing coding challenges 10 hours a day, that's a waste of time because that's not where, I mean, I'm not saying don't do that, but just not that much time. Um, so
Yeah.
just like really thinking about where in the process. And the other thing that I've done several times, and I'm always looking to do is in networking, I never approach somebody, even the first time, I don't approach them, hi, I'd like to get to know you. Will you recommend me for this job? It's always about building the relationship, not about getting the recommendation. So I don't even ask that. I say, can I take you to lunch and ask you about being a software engineer? I mean, obviously can't take people to lunch right now, but can
Nice
I Zoom with
virtual
you?
copy.
Yeah, yeah. Can I virtually talk to you? Can I whatever? But I ask them questions about, I come up with a list of questions to ask them, um, to get their advice and their perspective. And I don't even bring up, hey, are there any openings at your company until we have that relationship? And frankly, most of the time, I don't even have to. They're the one that'll bring it up because we've developed a relationship and they want to help you. But I know that people get really turned off when it's, this is my first point of contact with you. Can you get me a job?
Yep.
um, and that may seem obvious, but you'd be surprised. I get a lot of LinkedIn messages saying, hi, I don't know this person. Hi, can you get me a job?
That's
Yeah.
you.
Like, I don't know you at all. So,
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely important to create those relationships. And that's what networking is about.
mhm.
So going about it not with the intent for that person to give you a job, but with the intent to learn from them and to
Yes.
connect with someone that's in the industry and
Mhm.
also enjoys development or design if that's the program you're in, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, so that's really great advice for someone that's just starting their job search now, maybe considering COVID. What's some advice that you would give for those people that are just starting out? Like, what's something maybe that they need to keep in mind as they begin their search?
So, a couple things, like it's going to be hard. So, just set that mental expectation. Like, it's going to be work, but you can do it. Meetups are still happening. They're not happening in person, but they are still happening virtually. Obviously, virtually, it's harder to connect with people. It just is, but you can still do it. So I wouldn't discredit that because little connections, because even if they just see your face on a video screen in a meetup, then you could message them afterwards. Hey, I had a few questions for you. Can I pick your brain? I messaged people on LinkedIn. I would go, if I applied for a company on LinkedIn, I would try to connect with people and not say, like, hey, get me a job at your company, but say, hey, I see you work for this company. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions about what it's like to work there? Um, Stuff like that. Also, talk to everybody. I remember walking my dog once. I walked past another woman and we started walking together. And like we just got small talking, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm actually looking for a job, da da da, in tech. And she worked for a tech company, and I didn't end up working at her company or anything, but you never know. So talk to everybody about what you're doing because you never know where that connection is going to come from. That's going to be that in you need to get your resume seen to get the next opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Danielle. So I want to move over into a couple of just for fun questions that I like to add on the end because we're all humans and we like to have fun. I wanted to first ask, what is one product that you have found that you can't live without?
So we just back like right before COVID hit, we got a dog from the Linden Animal Shelter because we had to say goodbye to our previous dog because he was old, and um, she's bigger and she's a black lab and she pulls on a leash, and so we got a gentle leader for her leash, and I could not live without that because she pulls hard, but with that gentle leader, she doesn't pull. So if you have a big dog that pulls, look up gentle leaders.
Awesome. So my next question is with